Good morning everyone and welcome back to my channel English Literature. The Second Coming by W.B.Yeats. It is a very important poem. And there are total 22 lines in this poem and I have divided in two parts just for a better understanding. Now, William Butler Yeats is one of the greatest English poets of the first half of the 20th century. He was born in Dublin. And this poem is considered as a poet's contrast between poets' apocalyptic vision versus Bible's prophecy. As you will go through the poem, you will understand that how this contrast is made till the end of the poem. Now the background. We must have the knowledge about the background of the poem a bit. We have already, it is a prophetic poem. And the second coming, the title, the second coming is not the second coming as prophesied in Bible of Christ, but of a destructive, terrible beast. So here the title, the second coming, refers something terrible, not the second coming of Christ, but of a destructive, terrible beast. So this contrast, the poet's apocalyptic vision versus Bible's prophecy, this contrast is very visible from the very beginning. Now about the background, I can say this is the Easter Rising in 1916. The Easter Rising in 1916. Number 2, the Russian Revolution in 1917. And number 3, the First World War in 1914. So these three are the background of this poem. Why these three are the background of this poem? Because these three are the phases that the poet has gone through, and he feels the world is going to such a devastating end. And these periods of war that had tremendous bloodshed and cruelty. In the name of freedom, the poet witnessed the tremendous bloodshed and cruelty. And he believed that cruelty only begets cruelty, whether it for a just or unjust cause. So he is against any violation of sanity, because violence only make the hearts of people stony, and from that stony heart no Christ can revive. Now comes the poem, turning and turning in the widening gyre. So what is a gyre? You have to understand this word first, gyre. Gyre is a Greek word that means circle or spiral. Circle or spiral. Yeats used this as a cyclical movement in history, where each cycle lasts for 2000 years. So the gyre is gradually getting widening. Now I am drawing something here. The gyre is gradually getting widening. So this is the center and the gyre is gradually getting out of the center. moving around from the central point. Okay, now in other words, you can say the close of an edge is represented by one gyre, and again the next gyre will start from here. So end of an edge which always receives the revelation of the character of the next edge is represented by the coming of one gyre. And when the this greatest expansion happened, it start with the next one. Okay. The falcon cannot hear the falconer. So with this gyre we find 1 gyre 2000 years. And falcon no more can hear the falconer. So here if you suppose it is falcon, here you suppose it is the falconer. Because of the greatest expansion from the center, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. Now, if you consider man as the falcon and Chaucer as the falconer, if a falcon flies far from its master, it cannot hear his warning bell. So, in this process of expanding gyre, man has gone so far from God that he no more can hear his dictates or warning. So this is the connotation of this line, the falcon cannot hear the falconer, and things fall apart. Things fall apart, we can remember this line, things fall apart. It is the novel of Chinua Achebe that represents any object on earth, man and his creation. Everything falls apart. The good qualities and bad qualities, everything fall apart because of the widening of the gyre. The center means God or church, whatever it is. Center cannot hold. It has lost its magnitude quality. Center cannot hold. Everything is falling apart. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. What is anarchy? Autocracy? Indiscipline? So, in our mind, anarchy was changed by God, church, religion. We all are primitive, but this God, church, religion, morality, everything keep us chained. And that change is loosed from the hand of God. We are the falcon, the human beings. Human beings, we are the falcon and the falconer. We have detached from our falconer. The chain that holds us back is just loosed and taken apart, cut apart. And now the anarchy is now jumped upon virtue and morality. Center cannot hold it. Center means God or church cannot hold it. So anarchy, like a bloodhound who was till then changed by religion, by morality, by God, now is loosed, and like a bloodhound he pounds on virtue and morality. Blood dim tide is loosed and everywhere. So that hold, the word hold, this very word hold is very important. The word hold refers to that grip on human primitiveness. That hold is loosed. And now the tide of blood is everywhere. But as if the log-gate of virtue, love is just destroyed. Gate is opened and cruelty is spreading the flood of blood. Blood dim tide is loosed and everywhere. So now we find the flood of blood. Log-gate of virtue, love, morality is opened, is destroyed. Dimmed. Why the word dimmed? Dimmed means indistinct. Dim means indistinct. That is not clearly visible. Because of the blood, everything is looking indistinct, not clearly visible. The friend cannot recognize the friend, and good is cannot be recognized, and good and bad all are mingled together. So the phrase blood dim tide carries the suggestion of blind passion. Here again is there a reference to biblical flood, but I tell you at the very beginning that there is a constant contrast between the Bible and the poet's vision. The ceremony of innocence is downed. Now cruelty covers the land of peace. Everything is disrupted. Like a dike which prevents the excessive flow of water, religion, you think that this is the dike, okay? And it was the dike of religion, it was the dike of morality. Till now, it prevented the flood. It prevented the flood. Flood of cruelty, flood of savagery, flood of primitiveness. But as the gyre is expanding, with it the dike is faltered, the dike is destroyed, the dike is broken. So now everything is getting collapsed with this flood. And dimmed means indistinct. Nothing is clearly visible. We cannot recognize the bad from the good, evil from the good. Everything seems the same. In Bible, there is no blood dim tide. There is a tide flood, but that was not blood dim. Now, the scene of the modern era is far more deep than what is referred in Bible. In Bible, there is also a flood, devastating flood, to rescue man from, to regain the virtues, the qualities, moralities. But this scene of modern age is more than that. Now, only a flood cannot do anything. It is blood-dimmed flood. The ceremony of innocence is drowned, and in that flood, ceremony of innocence is drowned. The root of virtue and morality is under the tide of blood. No new virtue can be planned, and all old virtues are getting killed. No good is left. Everything is full of sin. Everything is nipped in bud. Every good thing is nipped in bud by the thrust of blood. So the ceremony of innocence is drowned. The best lack all conviction. Conviction means self-confidence. Conviction means self-confidence. Best refers to the man who can rescue this society, who are like the poet, who follows the path of morality, who wants to rescue the world. Now, Yeats thinks the persons who can show the road of goodness, they are also in a dilemma, in a dithering way. They are thinking what is good, what is bad, war or peace, what is needed, violence or non-violence. Are full of passionate intensity. So this is applied through cruelty. That passionate intensity is not for any good doing. This passionate intensity is applied to cruelty. Their aim is good, but the path they are taking is full of violence. So the Easter Revolution, I told at the very beginning about the background of the poem. How much cruelty the poet has gone through to write this poem. The Easter Rising, the Russian Revolution, First World War. There was good spirit. Of course, there were good spirit behind this revolution. Behind every revolution, there is good spirit. But the path that is chosen is wrong. The path is full of passionate intensity, but that passionate intensity only leads to bloodshed. Okay, so this is not the way to deal with. That is the major criteria of the poet, that the poet wants to tell us. The values that are rooted in our tradition, the good, virtue, all that is down. Everything is getting out of hand. Mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. Things fall apart. So everything is negative, things are going up. Passionate intensity. Intensity is good, passion is good, but passionate intensity is just other name of fanaticism and violence. And the best who can lead us, the most qualified and good persons, are just lack of confidence. They are in self dilemma, and while the worst, the common people who have no judgment of their own, no reasoning power, they are full of passionate. So there is no hope, good or bad. There is no hope from anywhere. Okay, and next, in our next video, we will read the second part that I have divided. The other line, the rest of the poem we will discuss in our next video. Okay, thank you for staying with me.